Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show live here from the UDL on a jam-packed UDL. Good to see Lloyd is here, Doobie's here.
Thank you.
Mikey Mottook and our good friend Jack Carpenter is here from Charlotte, North Carolina. Back in Baton Rouge this morning.
The Queen City.
Loyal listener, bro. Used to have some epic pickup basketball games back in the day. Good to see Jack here. Merry Christmas to everybody. We're going to talk to Ross Dellenger, who's got a great story on Pete Jenkins, former LSU defensive line coach. Spent a couple of times here, did Jenkins, mid-'80s, and then back with Saban, and then back with Orgeron, now a consultant for Alabama football, and his nickname, the Wolf, for Nick Saban. Every time he calls, he picks up the phone and fixes Alabama's problems.
Ross really painted a picture there.
He did.
Really feels like that's just salt to the wound there,
He did.
man.
That was that's a hell of an article by Dellenger. We'll talk to him
So long.
about the NIL stuff.
So many words.
So many words.
We will talk to him about his article on Dellenger. LSU Basketball is back on the floor tonight. LSU women's basketball rips off their 10th straight. Coaching doesn't matter, right? Kim Mulkey, 10 wins on the season. I think they had 10 wins all of last year. They got
9.
10, yeah, now they've got 10. They had 10 straight.
Wow.
Mulkey and the Tigers yesterday,
New pair of
winners. New kicks, popping champagne in the locker room. Sylvia Fowles stopping by and
Changing
saying
the
hello.
culture, dude.
Things looking good for LSU
Alabama
women's
basketball lost too.
Nate Oates and the Tide take the L. How's that taste, Nate?
Yeah.
LSU and
handshake.
Lipscomb tonight. That'll be a 7 o'clock tip-off before conference play starts. Everybody looking towards this LSU-Auburn matchup on the 28th, as that'll be the opening of conference play. We'll talk all about that. Remember, daily, we are brought to you by Papa Earl's, our official spice here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Papa Earl's, you can find them locally anywhere that you shop, whether that is Rouse's, High Neighbor, anywhere that you can find local grocery stores here. You can pick up your Papa Earl's today. True Blue Water, TRUBluewater.com. And then also Metropolitan Health Group, our phone sponsors today, as we'll talk to Ross Dellenger. And we'll also talk to Nick Underhill as the New Orleans Saints getting back into action. Alvin Kamara back. We'll talk to him about the second week of Kamara in action and what to expect from the New Orleans Saints here coming up this morning on the Jordy Culotta Show. We appreciate you starting your day with us. Make sure that you like, share, comment on the post. That helps us out tremendously as we are getting in here to this Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Some other news yesterday popped around the LSU football team, and we talked about bowl preparation. We talked to Blake Baker, the former LSU linebackers coach, who was fantastic, man. Yep. If you had not catch that interview, check it out on YouTube, check it out on Facebook, jordyculotta.show.com, as all of that sound brought to you by RMB Builders. But Jacob Hester on local radio reported yesterday that Damone Clark's been working out in California and is not working out with the team. Looks like he'll be sitting out of the bowl. We talked to Neil Farrell yesterday here on the Jordy Culotta Show, and Neil was talking about him working out over in Houston after notifying the coaches that he would not be participating in bowl preparation or playing in the bowl game. And then we learned, of course, through some reports yesterday that Ty Davis-Price also could miss the bowl game. And this was a Shea Dixon nugget over on 247 Sports. So 3 of your headline players going into bowl game here look like that they are not going to be available for LSU. Damone Clark, who's probably the best player on the team at this point. And then you talk about Ty Davis-Price, who really came on late in the season. And then we talked to Neil Farrell yesterday, who made himself a tremendous amount of money in his final season playing in Baton Rouge. I know that the names are big, right? I mean, they have a lot of weight in those names. I am really concerned about the numbers.
Yeah.
More than the names.
We're not going to field it. We're going to have tryouts.
You would
suit me up, baby.
At what point do you really start to get concerned? Who's going to get off the bus? How many people are going to get off the bus for LSU in Houston on January 4th when they take on Kansas State? I mean, they are not in a position to be just having players plucked away like they're just Damone Clark, Ty Davis-Price, Neil Farrell. I mean, all these guys on top of the names that you're already missing. I mean, LSU's in dire straits, it feels like, from a number standpoint.
You're bearing the lead, dude. Looks like John Trey Kirkland might be lining up at the old quarterback position.
Bearing the lead, man. We broke that story a month ago.
Yeah, but it's got some real flames
to
it.
Man, I cannot wait.
If that's the case, that bowl game is must watch.
Yep.
Oh, it
in my
is.
mind.
Yes.
But I don't know what, because I would consider these probably aren't the last of the opt-outs of the bowl game, right? There's other players that are probably considering.
Yeah, but who else?
Flott. Like, he's good enough to probably start.
Yeah, but is Flott eligible?
The,
is he draft eligible?
Yeah.
Oh, so is he going to declare?
I don't know. But I'm just speculating. But
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
if this is the
I don't
process.
know if he declares, but maybe.
There's nothing really keeping him here. Like, when you look at the changeover in staff, there's no reason. They're not tethered to LSU right now. This isn't their LSU football that they committed to. Like, there's guys that are going to play because they love the number, like they love the colors and the school. But there's some guys like, I mean, what were we doing? The Texas Advocare or whatever bowl against
bowl, I think, right?
the Tax Bowl against Kansas State. Like, get me out of here and let me go get ready for the draft.
It's overly concerning to look at LSU's roster right now and talk about a football game. Cardell Flott is one of those guys to me that probably feels like he could test well enough to get himself into some real draft discussion. And I think he's got good enough film from this past season, especially when Stingley was out, when he became, and Ricks was out, that he became kind of like cornerback one.
But he's also the guy, if he stays another year, he could be a first rounder.
100%.
You know
Absolutely.
What I mean?
100%.
So, I mean, it's the question, do you want to just go now, start your NFL clock, be a third, fourth rounder maybe? Or do you want to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to come back for a year, be the guy, be a first rounder, and then set yourself up for the rest of your life.
But as far as the game goes, I am still overly intrigued by the game, and I cannot really wait to see the players that make the most of this opportunity. I mean, LSU, have you seen the number? It's continuing to slide. LSU now a 3-point dog. As yesterday they were a 2-point dog.
Because the news
Today
is
they're a
trickling
3-point
out.
dog.
Yes.
Tomorrow they might be a 5.5-point dog.
Get to 10.
Right. By the time the fourth gets here, they might be a 2-score dog.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
And that's when you double back and hop on the Tigers.
Exactly. But yeah, the academic report has still not been released on LSU.
Probably Sterling.
Right? Like Damone Clark is missing because he's training for the draft. Ty Davis-Price is sitting out because somebody's gotten in his ear and saying, if you're a running back and you're going to go into the NFL draft, this is probably the year to do it. Right? I mean, like, who's the running back in this draft? Kenneth Walker from Michigan State? That's the only one I can think of.
The only one I can think of, the guy from Alabama.
Robinson.
Is
he drafted? But I mean,
he snagged a guy.
He was banged up all year.
I mean, are there other running backs? I don't know.
We're showing our sports knowledge.
Well, no, this is to the point of it being a draft class. Like, there's not anybody that's
John Emery.
Yeah.
If you don't know protections and blitz pickup in college, you ain't gonna figure that out in the NFL.
Emery would be well served to come back for a season. I just don't know if the relationship with LSU and where he is would bring him back. He would be really have a great opportunity to improve his draft stock tremendously if he could mentally get it right and get back. But he's another one that I feel like Flott. He probably thinks, I'm with you, Mike. He is deficient in a lot of areas at playing running back and some of the major ones. But he's also a guy that if you put him on the field and tested him, a lot of general managers and owners would be like, damn.
We can teach this guy the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many arrogant people within the NFL, coaches who say, look, we'll teach him how to block. Yes, I will make him a good football player because he's got the essentials that make him, just very attractive. He can run, he can catch, he can cut. He's coming out of the SEC with not a lot of wear and tear on him.
And the things you did see were good, aside for like the athletic things, the things that pop, the things that'll catch your eye. Those are all on tape. The other stuff, I'm sure, is out there, but you'll have to kind of dig around and find really his deficiencies in terms of, like, pass blocking. Like, you can find them, but there's enough flash around him to where, like you said, it's like a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Like, oh, if I get her or if I get him, I can fix him. Yeah, like, somebody's going to think that and take a shot.
There's a lot of running backs in the NFL that go there that don't pan out, that are super talented because they can't figure out protections and they can't figure out scheme and they don't want to put their nose in pass. And that's a huge thing in the NFL. The NFL, if you can't do that kind of stuff, you're not going to play. It's as simple as that. If he's trying to play for Joe Burrow and he can't figure out what side to block on, or playing for Tom Brady, you can't figure out what blitz to pick up and where to go, you're out, bro. You're sitting on the bench. Give me your helmet.
I hope for John Emery's sake that he comes back. I really do, because I think that if Emery really could just kind of figure it out and get himself mentally ready to play football, he could potentially be a high-round draft pick. I mean, he is that type of player that, you know, I mean, when he's checked in and, you know, he's engaged, he's as good as LSU's got. You know, I mean, at really going into the season, how high were everybody on John Emery? I mean, that was kind of your people's bust-out player.
That was the Jake Peets model. He was going to use him like they used Christian McCaffrey, and then you never got to see it.
Well,
so.
Also, but you said the thing right. What you said before, you were giving him all the compliments is the big issue. When he's checked in, that's the problem. Anytime you have to add when he's checked in before you give the this is what he's good at, that's never a good sign, because that tells me that he's not checked in all that much. And it's like, hey, is he going to be checked in? Is he not going to be checked in? What's the deal? You got to be checked in every day.
We mentioned Shea Dixon over at Go247, and his stuff when recruiting is great. He's got a couple of tidbits in bowl preparation to watch out for. And I know some people are asking about Garrett Nussmeier's red shirt and what the status is right there. There is no waiver from the NCAA that is going to allow Nussmeier to play in this game and keep his red shirt. I mean, say that out loud. This is LSU football. Nobody's going to do anybody any favors for LSU, much less keep a quarterback in a red shirt status when he's played more games than is allowed to keep that title. That's not going to happen.
Hey, we screwed it up. Can you help us out a little bit?
Yeah, right.
Like, no,
I mean,
dude.
This is another
These are the
debacle
rules.
of the Ed Ogeron regime. This is another piece of the wake that's left behind of the mismanagement of where the roster is and kind of going into next season. So I really would, and there's some smoke around this now that's really kind of starting to billow, is that Jontre Kirkland could possibly be the guy at quarterback.
He's taking
And
snaps.
Let's do it.
if that's the case, I can't wait to watch this game.
Can you imagine getting to the huddle and having John Trey calling the plays?
No.
Give me that.
The same guy that's offsides on kickoffs is playing
Give
quarterback.
me
Hell
that.
yeah.
Hell
Same
yeah,
guy who's
dude.
Why
dancing on
not?
the sidelines at the A&M
Absolutely.
game. Give me that guy.
Run pass option with John Trey Kirkland
Every play.
every single play with Brian Thomas, with Malik Neighbors, with Jack Besh as wide receivers. Who's my guy, number 22, the running back? Why is his name slipping my mind? The freshman, Armani Goodwin.
Armani Goodwin.
And
Armani
Kiner.
Goodwin, Corey
And Kiner.
Kiner. Maybe if John Emery's eligible, I mean, it's the second semester. Everything should be
might
good
as
from an
well-
academic
yeah.
standpoint, right?
Yes. Did you take your classes? Are we
I mean,
good?
right? I mean, isn't that the deal, though? I mean, so, I mean, like, John Trey Kirkland on that offense with those types of athletes is must-watch television for an LSU fan.
And you're fighting the ghost of Bill Snyder in Kansas State, where it's, they don't have the, I would say,
The athletes?
the athletes to
Yes.
run with John
Right.
Trey at quarterback. So that really could be, I mean, it could be a help. It could help you a little bit instead of,
It'll
it's
be-
better
I mean,
than throwing out the other
It'll
alternative.
definitely simplify the offense.
It's not worth burning a red shirt for, and he's probably better than the walk-on. So this is kind of where you are. And then the fans want it. It'll be exciting. This doesn't matter. It'll just be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I wonder how much of the mentality of that is kind of like
Roll the
riding
ball
within
out.
LSU, kind of like, look, what do we have to lose?
Why
I
are
mean,
we doing this?
what is
Let's
the
do
real
it.
meaning of this? Let's just make sure and get these young guys the best practices and best preparation to be set for next season. That's what I think is a real advantage of having Kelly in place right now. And look, I know he's not going to be on the sidelines, but you got to imagine that he is coaching up Brad Davis and the guys that he knows are staying on these young guys and making sure that he gets good evaluations after these 15, 16 practices going into bowl preparation of who's standing out going into the spring. So, I mean, like, there is a lot of positive that you can take apart or take from this part of the schedule, even though you don't have a lot of the guys there. Not a lot of these guys are veterans, and I am anxious to see what the academic report's going to look like because, I mean, if you continue to pluck at LSU's roster, there's a serious discussion that has to take place on at what point does it become unsafe.
Right.
I mean, like, that's why these rules are in place, where you've got to have a certain amount of people to get on a plane and go play a football game, is because just from a health standpoint, if you get into a situation where you don't have bodies and you just start throwing people who are unable to play at that level out there, you get people really, really hurt, like seriously hurt. And I don't know if LSU's not really kind of skating the line of that right now. I would love to see just an official numbers. These are the guys that are available
At practice in a jersey.
I'm willing
right?
to bet
Like,
NCAA is going to have to give them a waiver to play. I would assume they're gonna have to give them like an exemption, like, hey, because there's got to be a limit, right, of scholarship guys you have to have available.
Yes.
And if they're under that threshold, the NCAA has to be able to say, hey, okay, here's an exemption, here's a waiver. We're giving you the go ahead. If you have 49 guys, you're supposed to have 50, or 48, and you're supposed to have 50. If you want to play, go ahead.
You should be able to take one player from the NFL for the bowl game.
If you had one choice, who would you take?
Ooh.
Joey?
No.
Joey.
No.
Yeah, we'd be quarterback. But
No.
I kind of want to see.
I wouldn't take Joey just because, I mean, this game doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like, and the offensive line's so bad. Like,
oh, Joey could fix it.
just
It would be a nice little chef's kiss to be like, this is what happened. This is why 29 existed. For him to come back and win a bowl game with no players, like, I did this too.
Yeah.
And then he walks
I mean,
away.
obviously
again.
he'd be the best guy. I just think that the situation just will say, it's not worth using that
Give me Devin White then.
that carrot.
Devin White could probably
Yeah.
affect the
Put him at
game
running
more
back
than yeah.
and
I mean, you could
linebacker.
This is a game where like you could ask a player like Devin White to go both ways.
Yes.
He would.
Yeah.
No doubt he would.
He would
Speaking
come back
of-
and
No doubt
play.
he would. I
Speaking
mean, John
of-
Trey Kirkley could potentially go both
Put
ways.
him at corner.
Speaking of going both ways, I know this is kind of way off,
Oh.
but not that way. Darius
that
Slade,
right?
the All-Pro cornerback, got some receiver snaps yesterday
At Philadelphia?
in Philadelphia. So he was going both ways in the NFL.
Well, that's the bigger conversation. Is that big bitch is that
Oh yeah.
Omicron
Oh yeah.
is gonna that's LSU.
Well, I
that
saw-
might be LSU's out.
It's a fast mover. It's a
I
fast
saw-
mover.
That's weird.
I
think it's
saw
just,
that,
Yeah, this is just the.
I mean, I saw that the
like that?
NBA.
Do it again.
I saw that the NBA was potentially pulling the Christmas Day games.
Oof.
I mean, do you know how bad it has to be
Well,
for NBA to pull that product
here's-
off of that television station?
Here's the thing, though. NFL has now. I know a lot of players aren't happy with the way they've changed the stuff, but they've basically said, "Hey, this virus, yeah, it's a virus, but it's not strong, it's not potent, it's not deadly. So if you have been vaccinated and you have the booster and you're not showing symptoms, you don't have to test. We don't even want to know if you have it because it's not going to hurt you. So if you don't have any symptoms and you're not showing any symptoms and you got all this stuff, go ahead and play," which is apparently like 90% of the guys who have the virus have all of those things. They check all those boxes. So I think that's what they're trying to do.
Adam Silver said not shutting down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
If
like,
it was a
it's
conversation.
being debated.
Yeah, Christmas. That's the start of the NBA season for a lot of people.
It is.
Me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's where you really start kind of paying attention.
And then the NFL got in there too. And now they have
Christmas
Christmas,
Day
games. They saw
Well, it's
they
a
saw
weekend.
the
It's a
window
weekend.
and they're like,
It's a
let me
weekend.
smash that one.
Well, it's a weekend. It's
Yeah.
a weekend. They always have those
Don't think
Saturday,
so,
Sunday
NBA.
games.
Oh, you found a window. Let me crash that party.
Daily, we are brought to you by GoFlow. Remember, GoFlow IV Health and Spa is located on Jefferson Highway. Get in touch with them today if you want to get a little bit of an energy boost here before the holidays. Stop in and check out GoFlow. GEAUX Flow. IV.com. GoFlowIV.com is where you can find them online. GoFlow is Baton Rouge's premier medical spa specializing in IV hydration treatments with vitamin infusion. Over at GoFlow, they got memberships available, and if you suffer from chronic dehydration, chronic illness, if you're looking for a hangover cure and an illness recovery, athletic performance, if you're looking to replenish your electrolytes and vitamins after your workouts, stop in over at GoFlow, GEAUX, FlowIV.com, located on Jefferson Highway, right here at 7970 Jefferson Highway, right in the heart of Baton Rouge. GoFlow, GEAUX, FlowIV.com, Baton Rouge's premier medical spa who specializes in IV hydration, treatments with vitamin infusion. Lipscomb tonight in the PMAC. A lot of you asking about the pullover here. This is from Red Stick Sports. Stop in and grab one today on the way to the Maravich Center. A little chilly outside, so it wears well during this time of the year. But boot up as the undefeated LSU Tigers step onto the floor tonight versus Lipscomb. I know that Lipscomb comes in very well coached, very well respected. They are missing their best player right now, I think, with injury. But Lipscomb is a team with Lenny Acuff, who is very well respected as a head coach. I think Coach Wade, the last time he was here, we had him on Monday morning, and we asked him about the Lipscomb matchup, and he mentioned Coach Lenny and just how well prepared he knew Lipscomb was going to be coming in here on Wednesday night. But let's be real.
Let's be real.
I mean, we can be real about it. Coach Wade's got to show respect to the opponent. He's got to really not overlook Lipscomb and look towards the Auburn game on December 28th, but we can.
Coach speak.
They should dominate Lipscomb tonight. If they don't, obviously this could be a dangerous look-ahead spot for LSU, where they're kind of peeking towards that home, or excuse me, that road opener in conference play, as they'll play probably the best early season game of the year.
I mean, it's the classic. How can we screw LSU over a little bit?
Sure.
They gave them a
The top
murderer's
three.
roar.
Now, if they'd have thrown Alabama in there, that would have been.
It'll be a hell of a day when LSU could potentially come out of there 3-0, possibly 2-1.
If we're if they're 3-0, if we're 3-0,
Coach, if they're 2-1, it's a win.
yeah, but if they're 3-0 and they're undefeated after that, they're a top 5 team in the country.
They're so good you can't ignore it.
Have to be.
And
Well, I think that's
does
what
not want that.
that's what has to happen for them to get any respect at all. Is that they have to play so well and do things that are so obvious that people cannot ignore them, right? Like, I mean, that's almost kind of what happened as they kind of broke into the top 25, as they broke into the top 20. I mean, they were beating teams where people were like, are y'all not seeing what LSU has got going on? Are you not really paying attention to the type of team that they have, where their leading scorer and best player comes off the bench, right?
Yep.
I mean, like, they've got this rotation where they just slug you and beat you and wear you down, and around the 8-9 minute mark in the second half, I mean, people are just kind of tapping out. You know what I mean? Like, we can shoot. Even Louisiana Tech started that game where they were shooting the eyes out of the ball. They could not have shot the ball any better, but every possession for Tech felt like they had to earn everything. And these shots they were throwing up from deep, and these shots that they were raining in on these floaters and things that were happening and falling for them, all was good and nice for Louisiana Tech, and everybody was fired up. But you could feel it watching it. I mean, even the TV commentators were saying, as LSU was trying to kind of make their way back into the game, they feel very methodical about this. They don't feel like they're panicking. They don't feel like they're freaking out at all.
So Derrick Henry of college basketball.
Yeah.
Just
Beat
keep
it.
pounding, then all of a sudden he breaks the 80-yarder, and then now he's got 200 yards rushing on 28 carries.
And you're out the
And
fantasy playoffs.
Oh my! And guys don't want to tackle; they're jumping on their back, they're laying.
Leonard at Auburn. Leonard Auburn.
Yeah, same thing. They don't want to bang down low. They don't want to break. They're pressing again. I don't want to do this. They're throwing the ball over. They're running. By the time they get on the other side, they're exhausted because they're stopping and going. Like, no, they're exhausted.
And when a team takes on that defensive mentality, is
Yeah.
there nothing scarier than you know that they're going to bring defense every time they go out? Like, they take pride in it now, and if you're a coach, that's something that you would be thrilled about. It's like, I know the boys are bought in on defense. Like, at least we got that going.
Well,
like Mikey said, like, defense travels. They mentioned it a million times on the broadcast. Like, this defense is serious, and it goes anywhere.
And that, I mean, Will Wade's been trying to do that since he got here, and he finally has it, and it's fun.
The first year he undersold the defense.
It is. It is. I mean, it is the first year where you looked at the team going into the season, you were like, wow, there's a lot of offensively gifted players on this squad. When you think of guys like Brandon Murray, obviously Adam Miller was in that mix before he got injured. But Efton Reed coming in was really more offensively on pace, that he was ahead of schedule than he was defensively. But
And
he's
it's
been
flipped.
It
It's
has
flipped now.
flipped. It
He's
has flipped.
great defensively.
Even though I think some of his offensive skill set we very much underappreciate at this point. I mean, that turnaround hook that he can make from the left and right side is very mature for a freshman.
I think his offensive skill set is going to come into play in the SEC. Whenever they start making you say, okay, you know what, we're going to play half-court offense. We need to make you play half-court. We need you to make you play shots. You have to prove to us you can make it. The only way you combat that really is if, hey, you play down the post and you let this guy go to work and you make them come and try to double team you and you kick it out. You know, I think that's when he's going to start really showing his offensive prowess and really kind of take that next step. Because defensively, I mean, he's around the rim. He alters so many shots, which is awesome.
Calvin Dudley, the slow starts may warrant a change of personnel. I've thought about that, Calvin. I hope he doesn't do that, because I love the way that the energy is upticked when Eason and Gaines specifically come off the bench. It feels like something good is going to happen when both those guys check into the game. Now, you do have the luxury of a couple of options of changing up your personnel and see if you can't get an offensive spark a little earlier. And it'll be interesting to see what he does with, big games coming up. Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee to open up conference play. But I really do like, even though the offense has got to come around, and I really do at some point, these guys, and I went back and I listened to the interview on Monday. It was really a stupid question that I asked Wade on, like at some point you just expect those shots to be falling. I mean, he kind of laughed. He's like, yeah. Hopefully, we're from a coaching standpoint, you're getting them good
Jordy.
looks. Right? Like, it was a dumb question. It was a dumb question.
No, there's no such thing as dumb questions. You got told that when you're in middle school. No such thing as dumb questions.
We should get cobbled. Cobble holds the throne, right? For talking about Wade. What's your question?
Well, he answers his own question.
No, he's just talking.
Right.
Just that little combo.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your thought. Keep going.
But they're getting good looks offensively. And these guys, Brandon Murray is, to me, really kind of the one that can open them up. Is if he starts to consistently hit shots. Mwani Wilkinson is starting to make more shots.
It's M1 now.
It is M1.
We've learned all these things.
It's
X Xavier. I learned all this yesterday.
As opposed to what?
Xavier.
Zave.
That's X, so that's why they call him X. So we just make sure we want to get the boys the credit that they deserve.
M1
M1
is another one that could help them out offensively from an efficiency standpoint to start making shots, and I think that will come. I really do. I don't think that. I mean, look at Wade's teams since he's been here. Look at the personality of his teams. This is really the outlying one.
Yep.
This is the one that stands out. Now, this might be the best one because they play defense, but all of them have played offense.
Right.
All of his teams have been almost really kind of been able to roll out of bed and get you 80. You know what I mean? Just very easily make that happen. And I don't know if this team can get to that consistency where they're scoring that high at that rate, but I do think shots will begin to fall because they're getting good looks. I mean, I do think that their offense becomes a little stagnant at times where it's one shot, one pass, or one pass, one shot. And you'd like to see some more movement that you would believe open up things for guys like Days, Efton, and Eason down low. But even though they do shoot it quick on the shot clock, they are getting open and clean looks, and I think that these guys are too offensively gifted to keep clanging them. You know what I mean? Like they're at some point they're going to start finding the bottom, and shooting is contagious, man. I mean, once it starts to fall, people start to pick that up.
I'll shoot.
And yeah, right. I mean, everybody wants a piece of the action.
And that's what Will Wade wants. Like he came on here, he came on this show, and he goes, if you hold the ball for more than 2.5 seconds on LSU basketball, you might have to find another place to play.
Yeah.
Like that's how adamant he was about how stagnant the ball has been. So he does want movement and to get that thing kind of picking and popping and rolling around the 3-point line and just get some ball movement, because that's kind of the hack if you don't really have a one tier scorer, I would say, and LSU doesn't have a dominant scorer. That was going to be Adam Miller's role. So now you kind of have to find everybody and run offense like you kind of run defense.
As far as the lineup goes, though, I think that I don't think he's going to – I mean, I don't want to say – I don't want to speak for him, but I wouldn't change it because the identity of this team is defense. And the starting five that he puts in sets the tone defensively with the way they play, right? That's kind of what this team is about right now, and that's kind of what the starting five is about. Like, yeah, they may not score as efficiently as they need to right now, and that may change, but defensively, like with Mwani and you have Brandon Murray and all these guys there, that's what they're there for. Like, hey, you know what? We're going to lock it down defensively. We're going to set the tone, and we're going to let these guys know, hey, this is what it's going to be like all game long.
I can't wait to see how they match up against some of these high athletic teams from the conference. I mean, really and truly, the one that, if you said, which would the team that you would like to see them match up against the most, it would be Auburn.
Yeah.
It really would be. I mean, I would just like to see that game. I would really pay to watch that game on a neutral floor if I wasn't interested in either team. I mean, that is a very intriguing game here early in the conference play when you see Jabari Smith Jr., who potentially could be the number one pick in the draft, and then you're looking at an LSU defensive team that is, a top 3 in every statistical defensive category that means anything in college basketball. LSU has some presence in it.
That game scares me more than the Kentucky-Tennessee games.
100%. And not because it's on the road.
No.
And not because it's on the road.
Just because of the way they match up. Also, I'd like to see Days. Remember the first couple games when Days was like not selling for the three, but taking the ball off the dribble and taking those 15-footers? Like, maybe take a couple of those. Hit some like easy little jumpers.
Get yourself going.
Get to the free throw line and then get yourself going, kind of get in rhythm, and then Start. I mean, when you go shoot around, if you ever shot around, you start from the 3-point line like. It's a hard, yeah. But you start close in by in the paint. You start getting the rhythm and whatever. You start shooting a lot better from the outside.
Days is the only one that I've seen that has almost kind of been a little individualized within the offensive sets, where at times he looks like I got to get my shot, kind of like Cam was last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Cam Thomas is that type of player. He's a volume shooter that he's not going to let 2 possessions go by where he's not going to jack something up. Days. And look, I'm not saying that he's sticking the ball or that he's hogging the ball or that he's doing. He is one of your best offensive threats. He potentially might be one of the best offensive threats in the SEC, but he's got to be mindful of shot selection. And I think shot selection for him sometimes gets lost in translation because he's thinking about getting himself on pace where it really kind of sets the offense back a couple of possessions when he comes down and just says, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot it for 4, baby."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm going up with it.
You don't shoot to get hot.
In that same vein, you got to have him hitting to win,
no doubt.
Right? Like he's got to be on offensively, and however he's got to find that pace.
No doubt.
At this point, being a senior and being so experienced like he is, you trust his game on him finding it. All right, just got the confirmation. Kim Mulkey going to join us here in about 5 minutes.
Let's go.
As we will talk to.
Yeah, he's scheming. He wasn't acknowledging my take. I'm like, you know what?
He's the kid in class that's furiously doing his homework while the teacher's picking it up, and you're just like, I see you. Like, I know what you're doing. Just do it yesterday.
I always used to copy the homework before.
Dude,
but I got it done.
Always got it done.
I got to the point where I'd erase somebody's name and put my name on it and see if it worked, and it did.
Wow.
Every now and then, like you get caught, it's like, what are you doing? It's like,
what was the most pointless?
It worked before, dude.
What was the most pointless? Like for me, the most pointless class test thing that we had was like a vocabulary quiz in high school. It's like these words that you would never use. You don't like. It wasn't even something that was in an everyday conversation, and you had to learn the definition.
Superfluous words.
Yeah, well, look at you. You had to learn definitions, synonyms, antonyms, whatever. Yeah, I got caught cheating doing that.
Oh well, a spelling test is the test to cheat on, right? Because you just need the word.
Once this is at the end of the show. The cheating story is that's a story. They put me in a predicament, boys.
Wait, was it
Tech minor?
high school?
I had to. Yeah, it was in high school. It was my junior. I had gotten hurt.
What are you doing?
You got hurt. You're bored.
I got hurt for playing football, and we had the lanyards, and I was able to I would write all the stuff, and I put it in a lanyard, and my teacher would always look at. She would always welcome people. She wasn't welcoming people today, so I couldn't do it. I had to put it under my test. So I was fine. The AC was out. Test got stuck. I went to move. Test got stuck to the arm. Pulls it up. She sees it.
No!
She goes, Mikey, how could you? She loved me.
Mr. All-American
and
man.
She took it and put my head down. This is the best part of the story. I was like, she put your head down. I'll talk to you after the class. I'm like,
put your head down. Wow.
Junior in high school.
Good Lord.
So I'm like
she's your mother.
So I'm sitting there. I'm like, here's what happened though. That night, I was hurt for football. My junior year, I broke my arm. That day, it was our spring football game.
Oh.
Nebraska, Tulane, Louisiana
That's how it
Tech.
happens.
4 teams were there to watch me play. I hadn't had any game film my junior year. I can't play in the game because I get suspended. An answer suspension. It was not good. And then we went back and forth.
Mikey, how could you?
Disciplinary guy. It was that was not. And then
What did your mother say?
She literally said
probably nothing worse than a teacher.
She said, "There's nothing." She goes, "I'm not even going to punish you because this is punishment enough." So then I convinced the dean, the disciplinary, said, "Hey, look, I know I'm not supposed to go.
Can I talk to you for a minute?
I know I'm not supposed to go to these extracurricular activities, but can I at least go there and face to face tell these coaches why I'm not playing?" And
sticky test.
I had to go tell them, and
my lanyard fell off.
Look, it wasn't a normal day.
See what happened
under my test
was.
I didn't even know it was there.
Somebody snuck this in there.
My arm got stuck.
It was an old cheat sheet. It wasn't even the one I wanted to use.
Oh, man.
My best friend put the lanyard on the desk. Next thing I know, the teacher looks up and she's disappointed in me.
Boy, it was not
crazy.
She was disappointed in herself.
I'd love to go to Nebraska, Coach.
Then I had to go and tell them, and the only school that was very upset was Tulane.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. They keep winning the great awards, bro.
Yeah. You can't play for us.
Mahan Law Firm brings you the Jordy Culotta Show. Your reliable legal team, local reliable legal team. 50 years of combined experience over there can help you out with personal injury, business organizations, wills and trusts, succession and probate, family law, entertainment law, Mulhan Law Firm. They have helped us out tremendously in building the FM Digital Media Network that we are building over here at FM Digital Media. Mulhan Law Firm has been instrumental as we've worked with them directly. If they can help you out in any of these areas, personal injury, wills and trust, family law, entertainment law, get in touch with them. 225-926-8533. 926-8533 is the phone number to get in touch with them locally right here or online at mulhanlawfirmla.com. mulhanlawfirmla.com is where you can find them. LSU women's basketball wins their 10th straight last night to improve to 11-1 on the season. They beat Texas Tech Tuesday afternoon, 74-60, and is now back in Baton Rouge. Kayla Pointer had 19 points and 7 boards and 7 assists for the Tigers. Jalen Cherry put up 16 points. Alexis Morris scored in double figures for the 11th game in a row. She had 13 and 6. We'll ask Coach Mulkey about her squad as they are off and moving here, heading into Christmas, where she feels like how good they can be in conference play, some of the NIL stuff and how it's affected her team. Lots of stuff to get to with Coach Kim Mulkey next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure you like and share and comment. We appreciate you being here on this Wednesday morning. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's T-R-U, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. T-R-U, bluewater.com. Hebert's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, hebertsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Hebert's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. hebertsmarkets.com. Calvin Dudley, Jordy's ignored all my super chats. I'm blaming Relief Med. I see them all, Calvin. We're coming to you, bro. We appreciate them.
Yeah. We give you a screenshot.
But we appreciate the $15, and we're going to get to the super chats. We're going to talk all about it here. We got some stuff to get to in the second hour as Ross Dellenger is going to be here from Sports Illustrated at 8:30 this morning. We're also going to talk to Nick Underhill about the New Orleans Saints at 8:15. Speaking of Dellenger, we talked to Delly a couple of weeks back about the article on Kim Mulkey, an incredible dive in deep to Coach Mulkey's decision to leave Baylor and jump over to Baton Rouge and lead the LSU women's program. If you have not read it at SI.com, it is an incredible in-depth look at the decision-making process for a Hall of Famer, an Olympian, a national champion winning coach, multi-national champion winning coach, and now back home at LSU leading the Tigers, who last night reeled off their 10th straight win. Locker room looked fantastic as the Tigers are popping champagne. Everybody's celebrating new shoes. Saw Big Sill. Saw Big Sill in the locker room, and Coach Mulkey is joining us here after yesterday's win over Texas Tech, 74-60. Good morning, Coach. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to y'all. It is a good morning. I'm heading to Waco to see my grandchildren. Going to spend a few days there and come back and get ready for Sanford, and then our first big SEC game on the road at Georgia.
Last night you led by 13 at the half. You never the lead never dipped below 10. You controlled the pace, the tempo, everything in that game. Your team looks like they are playing with a lot of confidence right now. I know the nation hasn't seen that, but people paying attention to your squad are. What do you see in your team 11 games in?
Well, we are playing with confidence. If we want to beat people in the SEC or compete with people in the SEC, we got to do a better job in certain areas. We extend the lead, and then we get a little bit lax on defense and give up a 3. An example of that will be you're up 17, 10, 9, 8, game's almost over. Man, we don't get back in transition defense, and they jack up a 3. So those are little things that matter to me in order for us to grow and get better. Learn how to maintain a lead and learn how to extend the lead. But listen, I understand where this program has been.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get greedy. A win is a win. But the coach in me just is always trying to find areas that we can do better.
10th straight win for the program last night, a program that won 9 games a season ago. Anybody that tells you that coaching doesn't matter, look at the 2021 LSU women's squad. Your locker room was fantastic last night. After the win, we saw a big Sill down there in the locker room before the game. New shoes, champagne. Coach, the chemistry looks great on this squad right now. You got to like where you are at Christmas going into the second half of the season.
Well, Jordy, let me clarify the champagne. That's kind of a term you use for. I don't want anybody thinking Coach Mulkey's providing to underage kids. Don't drink, never had a drink in my life. That's just locker room terms. The champagne was celebrating. The champagne was acting like those shoes that they got were champagne. And to young people, that's what I meant. But no, I don't provide alcohol. But Sylvia Fowles lives in that area. Regine Moncrief, she grew up in that area. We all know she married a Louisiana guy. They came and surprised us, and it was good to see them. We're going to see Sylvia again in February. We're going to present her with some things because she was the Defensive Player of the Year in the WNBA. But, yeah, we have not arrived. We have not arrived. So I don't want people to think all of a sudden, man, we ought to get to a Final Four. These are baby steps. We just won 2 more games than they won all of last year. Yeah. And we're greedy now. We want to win 1 more in this non-conference, and then we're going to full step. That's going to be a fourth of this season. The second part of this season is the most important, and how many can we go win in the SEC?
Coach, I know you said that, obviously you just said that y'all won 2 more than y'all won the year before, and getting to that 10 wins, won 9, win 10, that threshold. What's the next landmark, or what's the next milestone that you're trying to get to before you move on to the next one? I know you said it's baby steps, so that in my mind I feel like there's different milestones along the way that you're trying to reach to maybe incentivize or motivate to keep pushing.
Well, we're going to say, okay, you just played your non-conference schedule. We wanted to win 10 of the 13. We have an opportunity to win 12 of the 13. And then we're going to scratch that off. And then our next goal is to finish in the upper half of the SEC. I can't tell you, I can't put a number on it, but if you can finish in the upper half of the SEC with a winning record or a 500 record, it's been shown through the years that you're going to get an NCAA bid. And if we can do that and along the way upset somebody who is not supposed to beat us, then you're doing things the right way. You're heading in the right direction. I'm not foolish to think that we're going to go into that SEC schedule and stay on a roll. What I'm going to challenge them that when things get tough or you lose or you lose a couple in a row, I don't know. You got to keep grinding and you got to keep plugging away, and we're going to do that.
All 5 of your starters scored in double figures last night. Offensively, you look like your team is really, again, playing with that word that we've talked and talked about a little bit here is confidence. How do you like yourself on the offensive side of the ball and kind of how you're evolving going into the next phase of the season?
A big part of if you look at stats from last year, which I did and I studied. I didn't talk to a lot of people about last year. I think you judge people based on your dealings with them. But I have to know a little bit about each of those kids basketball-wise. So you watch a little film on them, as they grow in practice. You film them in practice. You watch their work habits. You look at, okay, what did this one do last year from the foul line? What did this one do defensively? We didn't score a lot of points last year. And so you look at, wow, we're averaging 78 points a game, and it was like 60 last year. That's the first improvement I look at, is that everybody is scoring the ball. Now, put them in a position to score the ball at places that they're capable of scoring it. I think that is a vast improvement. Now, let's go to the defensive end. I think defense and rebounding, guys, are a staple of my coaching. And we didn't do too good yesterday. We allowed them to shoot over 40% from the field, and we want it to be 39-9, because we're not going to just kill it offensively many nights, but you can always play defense. And so I'm watching all those little things that we're doing. Yeah, the confidence is going to come from winning. The confidence is going to come from a new coach bringing in a new system, some kids getting to play a little more than they've ever played. But we've got a long way to go. But I'm not going to be unrealistic. I know what our strengths are. I know what our weaknesses are. I know what we face.
You out-rebounded them last night by 15 without Hannah. What's the outlook on her? And that had to be a good number for you.
Hannah will be back with us after the holidays, and we missed her. We're a better team with her than without her. But as you can see, Coach Mulkey disciplines players. I've won too many championships. I'm not a coach that discipline needs to be had that you look the other way. Just never have seen a coach win doing that. A lot of them do now. A lot of them ignore things. I don't. She will be back, as I said, after Christmas. And the first part of your question was rebounding. We're good enough to rebound without her. And what's impressive is we're small on the perimeter. I'm basically playing 3 of the 4 perimeters that get the most minutes are point guards, so they're having to play together. And they have done a really good job. If you look at our stats, they're helping our bigs rebound. And I'm proud of that.
We have talked about your recruiting class that was inked a couple of weeks back here a couple of times. But now it seems like you've got another weapon to sell in recruiting, as I know that you can't work directly with companies, but it looks like your team is getting a lot of interest in the NIL space. We saw Alexis Morris ink a deal here a couple of days ago with a local prominent law firm. And then I know that Crowd Push has just inked up Autumn Newby to an NIL deal. How do you view these, and how does it affect your team? And how do you and your coaching staff kind of view where your game is right now in dealing with this stuff?
Jordy, we can't get involved in that, but I have seen it. Not because I'm aware of social media stuff and know all the NIL deals. People send it to me.
Sure. And
they'll say, good for your program, Coach. What that tells me is that these young people are taking advantage of an opportunity that's, before them. And I would be willing to bet they probably use their social media platforms to say, hey, I'm here, would love to do something with somebody. So, one, what I would say to it is, NIL was coming. NIL is here to stay. Embrace it, and let those kids know you love them. Let those kids meet with you and decide what you can do for them. It's all legal now. There's no thing you have to worry about. And the likelihood of those guys that are getting NIL deals, they're probably getting them from people who love LSU or love that player in particular.
Coach Kim Mulkey, the Hall of Famer, LSU women's basketball coach, joining us here on the Jordy Culotta show. What's your Christmas plans? How do you spend I know you're all about family, so how does the next couple of days look for you?
Kramer actually went to West Palm Beach with the team, and we are loading the car as I speak to you, and we're heading to Waco to see the grandkids, and certainly my daughter and son-in-law, so I will be there until Christmas Day, and then Christmas Day I'll drive back to Baton Rouge and get ready for a 2 p.m. practice on the 26th because we play Sanford on the 27th, and more importantly, we're getting ready for Georgia on the 30th as well.
Yes, ma'am. At Georgia is where the Lady Tigers open up SEC play on December 30th. They're back home against Texas A&M on the 2nd, and then the number 1 team in the country in South Carolina will be in Baton Rouge on January 6th with Coach Mulkey walking the sidelines in the purple and gold. That will be a great night for LSU Tiger fans. It is great to talk to you. Congratulations on the latest win. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk soon.
Jordy, thank you, and Merry Christmas to you and your family and everybody that loves the Lady Tigers and women's basketball at LSU. Y'all have a wonderful, safe holiday.
Yes, ma'am.
Merry Christmas, Coach.
Tell Kramer and the crew hello. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, there is Coach Kim Mulkey checking in this morning. Daily, we're brought to you by City Cafe. Remember, City Cafe's got great lunch specials every single day. You want to go in there and talk some basketball. Doesn't matter if you're talking Will Wade, Kim Mulkey's group, Coach Squeaky Miranda, Cody Miranda, and the crew are always talking basketball over there at City Cafe. CityCafeBR.net on the corner of O'Neill and George O'Neill. Jordan
Presents.
Peck comes in bearing gifts.
Presents.
My guy with the monster.
Of course. Need to get this man a sponsorship.
Bottoms up, for God's sake,
Happens
monster.
every day.
He's here.
He is.
City Cafe, CityCafeBR.net. I don't know if they serve Monster out of the tap, but they've got great tap beer over there. Over at City Cafe, CityCafeBR.net. Good stuff from Kim Mulkey. We'll be back. Second hour coming at you here on the Jordy Culotta Show. During that second hour, we will talk to Nick Underhill about the New Orleans Saints, and we'll talk to Ross Dellenger, who had a great write-up on Pete Jenkins, who spent a lot of time in LSU, spent a lot of time in Louisiana, spent a lot of time around Nick Saban, and Ross Dellenger highlights that. He also has a great story, as we said, on Kim Mulkey. If you have not read that, if you have not seen that, check that out over at SI.com. We're back with more Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, right here next on YouTube, Facebook, and JordyCulottaShow.com. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Welcome back here to a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, powered and driven by Go Chevrolet. Shout out to the Hall of Famer Kim Mulkey for stopping in here on this Wednesday morning as we wish you a Merry Christmas. She wished you a Merry Christmas after the Tigers won their 10th straight last night. They'll play Samford 2 days after Christmas on the 27th, and then they'll open up SEC play in Athens versus Georgia. Back home versus Texas A&M, and then South Carolina, the number 1 team in the country, comes in. This is in between Kentucky and Tennessee's men's game.
PMAC's gonna be.
Like the next 2 weeks, the PMAC is gonna be the spot, bro. So you've got Kentucky January 4th.
Yes.
You've got South Carolina women's, who's the number 1 team coming in the country, playing Mulkey squad on the 6th.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Then 2 days later, you've got Tennessee coming in on a Saturday to play Willie Wade and the crew.
Get your tickets now.
In 1 week. I mean, that's going to be a hell of a week of entertainment inside the Maravich Center.
What time is the game for the Kentucky game?
The Tennessee game is at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I do know that. And Daniel Newman, who is our financial advisor over here, over at Edward Jones, is throwing a tailgate that day, an LSU basketball tailgate that day that he's going to crank up at about 1 o'clock. It'll be in lot 108. And we'll be there. We'll be dipping in and out throughout the day and then going to the game that night. But Newman's going to be cooking. And if you're listening to this broadcast, if you catch this at any point, you're invited. Stop in. The closer it gets here, we'll tell you where it's at. But it'll be in lot 108, which is right there. I believe that's the Natatorium parking lot, in the Fieldhouse parking lot, kind of on the Nicholson side of campus. And it should be hard to miss. Newman's going to be cooking a lot of food up and getting ready for LSU Tennessee that afternoon. And hopefully that still could be an LSU undefeated squad who's going to open up conference play versus Auburn on the 28th. And then they're back home to play Kentucky, as we said. Then they'll round out that week playing Tennessee. And Calvin Dudley, who has been very generous to the show.
We got you, buddy. We got you.
Very generous to the show. Came through with a $50 super chat.
He wants to be seen.
Earlier. He was asking about should Wade start Gaines and Eason, and we did talk a little bit about that in the first hour. I don't think he should. I think that there is an opportunity to kind of, mix up the lineup if you want. I still think with the offensive slow starts that you're okay, because I think at some point that these guys are going to start. It's going to start to click for them, but they do really start well defensively. I think that the group defensively of Wilkinson, Murray, Pinson, Reed, and Days is a pretty good starting group. And then after that first dead ball timeout, you go to Eason, you go to Gaines, and you get some energy, you get some life, and then you really bring in your best player in Eason. I love that. I love that your best player, your high scorer, comes off the bench. Now, if things start to get you in a bind too much early in conference play, then obviously this is a conversation that will be open for debate. Chili says, think about this: no Sharif and no Adam Miller. Adam Miller, we know, is going to be on the shelf until summertime. He will be back next season. But Sharif has definitely been head scratching, man. It's tough to really analyze Sharif because obviously he just doesn't get on the floor enough, and he can't stay healthy from a standpoint where they're confident to put him out there for an extended amount of time. And right now, I can tell you that the program, or at least from a player personnel standpoint, that the coaches, they're not considering him an option right now for the long term. I mean, at some point, if they get him back, that would be great. But nobody at this point is counting on that, just because it's just a very unstable situation.
Tell you what, on January 4th, I don't think I'm going to be watching much of the Tax Bowl. I think I'm going to be watching the Kentucky LSU game.
Well, they go head-to-head, too.
Yeah.
Are they at the same time?
I don't know if they're at the same exact time, but they stagger them a little bit. But that's a great spot for the new DL.
Yeah.
For the stadium. That's why we're going to have that watch party, that watch room up and operating.
Multiple TVs.
At the new DL, where we can have watch parties. And
basketball on the big TV, though.
On a night like that, where
Our first strife? Which game goes
basketball
on the big TV?
On the big one.
Basketball on the big TV.
Yeah, see?
For sure. I mean, it's a bigger game.
It is. I'm with you. I'm just saying, if it gets good, we're going to have to swap.
You can put the other ones on the other TVs.
All four.
Yeah.
Brandon Hollingsworth says, just can't wait 8 minutes to get to Eason. when the offense is struggling as bad as it was on Saturday. I agree with that.
He's playing starter minutes.
I think that he was allowing Saturday for those guys to play out of it. I think he was kind of waiting on them to kind of play out of the funk, and they would hit a shot. But then their defense kind of for the first time would let them down in transition. Their defensive transition, their transition defense, I should say, has been really, for me, that has been the most impressive part of their defense, because that's when LSU is at their best. That three-quarters trap defense that they play, whether it's the 1-2-2 where you've got X at the top kind of forcing them to the corner and you're able to create turnovers and Eason's kind of roam in the middle, or that 2-2-1 trap where Reed's in the back and you're kind of forcing everybody into the middle, and like they're just, it's like kind of like 40 minutes of hell. It's kind of like chaos out there where the ball's in the air, the ball's on the floor, the ball's kind of being, just 50-50 balls, and a lot of times LSU's athleticism is going to win that. And then when they create turnovers and they fill lanes and the ball's not touching the floor and they're just running, passing, and playing above the rim, LSU's as tough as a matchup as there is in the country when they're playing like that.
Louisiana Tech had a really good plan. They
did, and they were hitting shots.
Yeah, they had a really good plan, and obviously we talked about it earlier in the show. They just warmed down. Yeah. LSU just warmed down. At some point, that wasn't going to be sustainable, and I think LSU knew it. Well, wait, but credit to the guys, they stayed at it, and just like you said, methodically just chipped away.
The Kentucky game is at 6:00.
Okay.
That afternoon, and the bowl game's at 8:30.
Oh, so we can do both.
No crossover.
Oh, we're good.
I'm going to the game.
We're
good. Go to the basketball
going to the
game.
Kentucky
Good.
game, for sure.
I'm going to the game too. I was going to the game regardless of the Tax Bowl is at 6:30 or 8:30.
Auburn game's at 6:00 on the opening night of conference.
Love
play.
Love the 6:00 games over the 8:00 games.
You know what that tells you? Primetime television. They want LSU's must-watch TV right now. They know that
way.
And the TV executives think so too.
Yep. Sorry, NCAA.
Sorry, NCAA. Right. Save it.
Well, I think Kick Rock. I think ESPN is apologizing to them.
We got to do it.
They're just too good.
Team of the country.
They're just too good. I mean, what do you want us to do? I mean, we're trying to sell advertising around this thing.
And the fan base is at a fever pitch for it. Like LSU, when LSU's good at anything, they know. Like I would imagine ESPN executives or SEC Network, they know that if LSU is good, it's better for everything around them. Because the people around LSU are just will travel to anything. They'll go to Omaha, wherever you want to take us. We'll go if it's good.
Relief Med. Speaking of anywhere you want to go, you might want to get out of the house these holidays if you got family coming over. If you can't get out of the house and you got to hang out with the in-laws as they're coming in, you might want to hit up Relief Med. Yeah, if you're going to cut the grass for the third time that day, you're going to walk the dog for the fourth time that morning.
Walk with your cousin.
Relief Med. Call them. RELEAF med.com, or just go online and click the Get Relief Now button. Qualifying conditions are right there for you. As we've told you, if you can breathe and blink at the same time, you have a qualifying condition. Lloyd went through the process and came out as a shining star to give you an idea of just how low grade those qualifying conditions are. Relief Med, RELEAF med.com. Click that Relief Med, Get Relief Now link right there, and in a matter of moments, you will be set up with a board-certified doctor. You will go through the call via online, or you can go face-to-face, get the recommendation, and before you know it, you're at a pharmacy picking up your medical-grade marijuana. The flower will be here in 2 weeks, but right now it is gummies, vapes for your medicine.
You have to imagine these gummies, like if it tells you, hey, this is the amount of milligrams on these gummies, this is it. Like outside of the, hey, someone made the gummies at home, and you don't know. That's a crapshoot there.
Scratching the head, looking around.
Hey, how much do you think is?
Freaking out.
I don't know how much,
bro. What you give me these gummies?
I did that. I didn't even know they were like firecrackers. They were. Kind of, I guess like a s'more.
My worst gummy
nobody told me that it was just edibles. Nobody told me that they had tasted good enough to where I couldn't tell. And I popped in 2 of them. Just like it had one, went back for another. Like, dude, you know there's weed in there? And I was like, I did not. But I've had 3, and
good
now
to know.
And now I will find out.
I'm not gonna be in a good place.
No, I was on the bathroom floor for a second. Like, oh, this is cold. This feels nice.
Bring me water. Kent Statham, love the boot up quarter zip. Where can I get it? Red Stick Sports, Essen Lane, bro. Stop in over there and tell them you heard it on the Jordy Culotta show. Justin Turner, Dickie V is going to get booed loudly if he has to call the LSU Kentucky game. You think they send the old man down here?
Why not? That's
Why not
great
do
for
one
TV.
more make good?
That's
You know,
great for
maybe
TV,
you
though.
can
Maybe
finally
so.
apologize.
Maybe so. Brandon Hollingsworth, I prefer 6:30 to 7 o'clock start. Chill out, Brandon. 6 o'clock leaves the PMAC.
I prefer 6:35.
Half-ass empty midway through the first half. 8 o'clock is way too late. We're picking nits at this point. I hear your concerns, but 6 o'clock for Kentucky, they'll be there. Naquilis Dilwad, Lloyd's mustache qualifies him for gummies.
Absolutely.
Rico Delgado, Dickie V is a cancer survivor. We can forgive
Yes.
him. To be debated. Hayden, he did survive cancer though.
Yes.
Hayden Pear says,
Can't doubt that.
invite Dickie V to the UDL and set up a whoopee cushion trap. Jeffrey Bone, go read Deli's article about the wolf. We're about to talk to Deli about his article about the wolf, and that is about Pete Jenkins, the former LSU defensive line coach, who has to have the most impressive resume in college in football. And if it's not the most impressive, it has to be as impressive as any resume in college football. I mean, the amount of human lives that Pete Jenkins has impacted is millions. I mean, it's thousands over the years at the stops he's been. He's been around football for over 50 years. He's been alongside Saban for 23 years, which, yes, if you do the math, it dates him back to his days at LSU. That's where he met Pete Jenkins, as Jenkins was the defensive line coach at LSU during the late 80s, mid-80s. If you remember, Carl Dunbar, who is now a very well-known defensive line coach. In fact, he's the defensive line coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Spent some time at LSU, spent some time at the University of Alabama, has been really all over the place. He was Carl Dunbar's position coach while he was at LSU. So I think Dunbar finished up in 88 at LSU, so like the mid-80s. If you remember guys that came through here during that time, guys like Henry Thomas went on to have a really good NFL career. Oliver Lawrence, Rashard's uncle, came through during that time period and was a standout defensive lineman. Will Clapp's dad, Tommy Clapp, was a defensive lineman during those days of Pete Jenkins here early on coaching football. Carl Dunbar, as we said, was a part of that as well. Then he came back with Saban in that early regime that Saban was here, 2000, 2001, where, you know, those were the early lines of scrimmage of guys like Jarvis Green, Kendrick Allen were on those defensive lines. And then, of course, kind of got into more of the Marcus Spears era and the Lavallee, the Chad Lavallee and the Marquise Hill guys that came through here. And then he kind of turned into a consultant. He did serve some time on a NFL coaching staff. He was with Andy Reid and the Philadelphia Eagles like in the early 2000s, like 2008 through 2010. And the story goes that Andy Reid was going through the resumes and going through the names that kept populating for an open defensive line job at the Philadelphia Eagles. And one constant with all of the applicants was that they would have on the applications that this is a Pete Jenkins guy. This is a Pete Jenkins guy. This is a Pete Jenkins guy. Like, had it come from his coaching tree.
Why don't we hire
and
Pete
Andy
Jenkins?
Reid said, I mean, screw it. Get me Pete Jenkins on the phone. And brings Pete Jenkins in and says, we're going to hire you, man. Everybody that comes through here says that they are learning and teaching your skill on the defensive line. And then that wrapped up in 2010. And then he kind of bounced around as a consultant. He's been a consultant for Alabama football for the last 23 years. And as Dellenger paints the picture, he paints him as the character, the wolf, off of Pulp Fiction, who, when Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, they need anything done that has to get done.
What a great movie.
They call the wolf, right? Like when they needed to, kind of dispose of a dead body that they blew his brains out in the backseat of a car in daylight of L.A. traffic. They've got to get rid of this body. They call the wolf.
Accident.
The wolf makes it happen. End up in a junkyard. He's wiping away. He's got the handkerchief kind of wiping his lip as he gets it done. It's all done. You called the right guy. You got the wolf. Pete Jenkins is Nick Saban's wolf, where he tells the story. Ed Ogeron got the job at LSU permanently in 2016. And Ogeron, if you remember, when he was the interim at USC, his first call was to Pete Jenkins. and he brought Pink Jenkins in because Jenkins took his spot, Ogeron's spot, as the defensive line coach with Southern California. He was sitting in front of the bus. They got him in the story. So when he gets the interim job at LSU, he does the same thing, right? He brings him back down, makes him an interim defensive line coach, keeps him around the building, and then once he gets the permanent job, he names the 80-year-old Jenkins the defensive line permanent coach. I mean, if you remember some of those walks down Victory Hill in 2016, I mean, Jenkins, guy, no disrespect, guy could probably still kick my ass. Not probably, still would probably beat my ass.
Hand placement.
Leverage.
Old school.
Couldn't make it down Victory Hill, though.
That's
You know what I
your
mean?
best
Like,
bet.
that was Baton Rouge weather in September. Wasn't made for Pete outside in a suit.
Looks
You know
like
what I
the
mean?
Red
So he
Dragon.
kind of, which if you read the article, that really pissed Saban off. That really just pissed Saban off that he didn't have access to Jenkins and pick up the phone, send the private jet, pick him up, bring him back to Tuscaloosa, bury him in a coach's office for 5 days where he doesn't see sunlight or anything outside because Jenkins can't coach the players, right? He's not a on-staff coach. He's an Alabama football consultant. So what he's doing is consulting and
coaching the
teaching
coaches.
the coaches. So Saban, has these all-day, all-night coaching sessions where he's got everybody locked in the dark in there, and if you fall asleep, you're fired, and brings Jenkins in and just has this melt of sessions where the wolf comes in and fixes all the problems. And it is a great article from Dellenger who paints the picture of one person that Saban allows in, one person that is allowed around a coaching table and around a coaching room to kind of poke and prod at Saban, right?
It's like a mentor almost.
If you
like
knew-
he's
if you
allowed
know-
to. He's allowed
Or
to
an
get-
equal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks at him.
Saban speaks to him almost on a parallel. I don't know if he looks up to him, but he speaks to him on a
Needs him, though.
he
He
speaks to him
realizes
on a parallel field,
plane,
right?
yes.
Like that. This guy gets it. Later, Peck.
If you've ever met Pete Jenkins, he doesn't give he
Gives zero.
he doesn't give
fucks.
a shit.
Zero.
I got to when he used to train defensive linemen before the draft here at Traction. I don't know how long, probably 5, 6, 7.
Ashawn Robinson in that group is here.
Yeah, Ashawn Robinson from
Arden
Alabama. Arden Key. They were all there, and so this was probably seven years ago or so, and the way he would approach these guys and the way he would coach these guys was awesome. And like these guys had the utmost respect for him. And if you ever seen Ashawn Robinson in person, that guy is the most intimidating person in the world. And it seemed like he was intimidated from Pete.
He was. Yeah, he was. Well, they all walk around in awe.
Yep.
Coach Pete is what they call him, and they all walk around as if you are in football. You are in the presence of football royalty.
Mm-hmm.
And Dellenger does an incredible job, like he always does, of painting that picture and writing it down and taking that in and kind of spelling that out for you. It's over at SI.com. In fact, give you about 12 to 15 minutes to get over there and read it before we talk to him.
It is
Next,
a monster of an article.
Wait, 12 to 15, that's all it takes? 12 minutes? It takes me 12 minutes? A lot of words.
You could probably
It's a lot
rip
of
through it in
words.
15 minutes. I mean, if
Yeah.
you sat down
Okay.
and read it, you should be able to get through it in 15 minutes.
I've read bits and pieces. I browsed, skimmed.
Skim.
Uh,
Needed your cheat sheet.
We
Yeah.
will talk New Orleans Saints here in a minute
That's the document,
as New Orleans.football's Nick Underhill will be here. We'll talk to him about the 9-0 win over Tampa, what to look out for with Miami and Tua coming to town for a Monday night tilt versus the Saints.
Re-
We'll all talk about that next.
Schedule sets up pretty nicely for the
Does.
Saints.
Does.
Go 10-7. I mean, that's if they go 10-7, and I know he's not going to get it. Sean Payton deserves Coach of the Year.
It'd probably
He's
be
not
one of
gonna
his
get it.
top coaching jobs for
But
sure.
he won't get it, but he deserves it.
I agree. We'll ask Nick that. Daily, we're brought to you by.
Sorry. The season changes with the Tampa Bay win last week, right? Like, don't
Yeah.
you? That was a deciding
That puts
factor
you
of
in the
if you're
playoffs.
back
Does
into
the ceiling
it or
change,
not.
though?
No,
not
season.
the season.
But the
Season.
ceiling.
No,
the ceiling
no.
does not change.
But now
Right,
you have to continue to be invested now.
I agree. Kind of just get you back into the race.
In the playoffs.
Right.
If you
kind of
lose
felt
that,
like
you're out.
kind of felt like you were watching the race
on
for the
tilt.
three
Yeah.
previous
Right.
weeks. Now you're back in the race.
Man.
But I don't know if you can ever
can't win
really
it.
make an even impact on the race,
Look,
right?
2 terrible losses too during
Yeah.
the year.
Yeah.
Like you don't lose. You
Giants.
don't lose to the Giants, and you don't lose to. Well, I'll give the Panthers early in the season because they were like the first few games they were rolling.
Daily, we're brought to you by A-Bears Meats. Remember, A-Bears Meats is located in Baton Rouge and Robert's grocery store, as you can find them there. If you're looking to pick up any of your holiday specials over at A-Bears, they've got you ready. Highway 73 out in Geismar and in Baton Rouge at Robert's grocery store in Baton Rouge. A-Bears Meats online and social media. Find them on Instagram, on Facebook. They can take care of your holiday menu for you. And remember, if you're looking for gift cards, those are great gift ideas. For every $100 that you spend, A-Bears will give you a $30 gift card in return. Get over to A-Bears. Think about holidays. Let A-Bears take care of it for you. ABearsMeats.com. New Orleans Saints discussion with Nick Underhill next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Ross Dellenger coming up 15 minutes from now. Make sure and hit that like, share, comment button. We appreciate it. We'll be back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. YouTube, Facebook, and JordyCulottaShow.com. GoFlow IV and Spa, 7970 Jefferson Highway is where you can find them, or you can simply go online to GoFlowIV.com. GoFlow IV Spa is a medical spa that specializes in IV hydration with vitamin infusion. At GoFlow IV Spa, they can help you with a wide range of issues, from skin care to illness recovery, athletic performance, hangover cure, chronic illness, and even chronic dehydration. GoFlowIV.com or stop in and see them, 7970 Jefferson Highway. A-Bears Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, abearsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. A-Bears combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. abearsmarkets.com. Two-game win streak for the New Orleans Saints as they'll host the Miami Dolphins here coming up on Monday Night Football. This would be a 3-game winner coming off of a dominant performance versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 9-0. Remember, we tell you a great Christmas gift idea for the New Orleans Saints fan in your life would be a subscription to NewOrleans.football. Nick Underhill and his site over there pump out the best information covering the New Orleans Saints, not even to be debated. You can find it at NewOrleans.football. Saw the new podcast went up last night on YouTube. They've got a YouTube station that you need to subscribe to keep up with the latest from the Saints, as right now information is in high demand. Saints beat Tampa Bay again, 9-0. This is with Tom Brady. Saints have had Brady's number. Obviously, he got him in the playoffs last year, but since he's been with Tampa, and really the last couple of times they played him in New England, it seems like Saints have really been able to control the game with Tom Brady in it. Nick Underhill is here with us on this Wednesday morning talking Saints just like he is every week on the Jordy Culotta Show. Good morning. Good to have you back. Merry Christmas, man.
Yes, and you. And, 20% off the New Orleans football.
Hey, there we go.
Hey, a little
with
gift.
the code defense. With the code defense. If you're checking out.
Defense. Like
Defense
that.
is the code, 20% off, NewOrleans.football. That is a great gift idea.
Not offense? You don't want to use the offense?
Yeah, look at it, man.
You don't use the Saints fan.
Look at the
offense?
product
Yeah.
look at the product
Yeah.
on the field. Ladies, you think your man will be having his face buried in his computer doing weird things? All he's doing is reading Nick's work at NewOrleans.football. If you get him the subscription for Christmas. Or if you are the Saints fan, Miss Saints fan, get the subscription at NewOrleans.football. What did you take away from the performance versus Brady? Man, they frustrate him. They send him to a level on the football field that you rarely see Brady go to.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable. And look, I used to cover the Patriots. I covered them for 5 years. I mean, so kind of familiar with him, his mannerisms, the things he does, and it isn't often you see him kind of snap the way he snaps when he plays the Saints, and they do things against him that, really dating back 2011 Jets kind of had his number a little bit. I can't remember too many teams that played him as well as the Saints play him, and Dennis Allen just kind of has it figured out what to do, how to disrupt him, and I think the key to that is they kind of show these blitz looks where you're trying to decipher what's going on at the line of scrimmage, and they're showing 5-6 guys coming, but it's only 4 every time, and there's some guys dropping, some guys blitzing, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and I think that kind of gives you the same level of pause as if somebody's blitzing, but there's not an open space in the field to exploit that, and that's Brady's game right there. He's the greatest of all time because he sees that stuff faster than anybody else, and he will gut you if you try to cheat against him. And it's not throwing down the field. It's him being able to get the ball out in 1.6, 1.7 seconds to the open space that you vacate. And the Saints show it, but they don't vacate the space. And I think that's kind of the key to why he can't beat them, why he struggles the way he does, because they're getting after him with 4, but dropping 7 in coverage. And it's just that little bit of indecision that they create without actually blitzing. And, they cover well behind them. They match up really well against the Bucs' weapons. I think that's the other key to it. And, I just think they're the one team that's kind of uniquely built to be able to counteract all the things the Bucs can do with their weapons and also create that little bit of indecision with Brady.
It's no fluke either. I mean, last year, they dominated him. Even in the playoff game, they had him frustrated. The games this season, I mean, he's just off. Like you said, you've covered him. His demeanor, his approach. How unbelievable is it that they can knock him off of his pace like that? Because I mean, the shot of him telling the sidelines to go F yourself is just that is a 44-year-old Tom Brady. I mean, that is just amazing to see that.
He's
on
so
a football
frustrated.
field.
Yeah, it's not something you see. I mean, and like you said, it's not a fluke. 38-3 last year. I mean, they played them extremely well every single game. Even earlier this season, I mean, they pick them off. They have 8 interceptions in 4 regular season games against this guy. Like, this is a player that doesn't throw interceptions. And they just I think they know the personnel so well. And I think that, there's an element of these guys kind of being patient and baiting them into throws. And, earlier this year, the one P.J. Williams interception pick 6 at the end, like, he was sitting on a specific play. They knew they were going to run it. He jumped it, and he took off and went with it. This week, it looked like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson knew the route the guy he was covering was going to run, kind of sat back a little bit, baited the throw, jumped it. So I think it's just kind of knowing the tendencies, the personnel, and, they get up for this game. I think there's an element of that, too, that this guy came into their division. He's trying to take it from him. And, he kind of, he didn't last year, but he took the Super Bowl, so that's even better. But I think that, there's a little bit of, hey, this guy isn't going to come here and knock us off our spot. This is our thing. So I think that there's just like a level of getting up for this game that they don't for other ones. And look, I mean, everybody gets up to play the Bucs, and not everybody plays them like this. So it's not an easily done thing. But yeah, for whatever reason, they figured something out about beating him. And Collinsworth is on TV talking about everyone's going to study this tape and try to do it. Everyone studied the tape from last year from 38-3, and nobody did the same thing. So they can study it, they can watch it, but being able to do what they do, and everybody knows how to beat Brady. You send 4, you don't blitz, you cover well. Yeah, it sounds pretty easy, but not a lot of teams can actually do it. The Saints have been able to do it against them.
It feels like the Saints have been playing with house money for the last season, in Dennis Allen being on staff. Maybe the last 2 seasons with him on staff. That game for him on Sunday night, that puts the nail in the coffin. He's going to be a head coach somewhere next year, right?
I mean, it should be. I mean, it seems fairly obvious that if you're coming to the staff and taking somebody, I thought he was going to be the first guy. I didn't think it would be Dan Campbell. And look, Dan Campbell, he has the Lions playing extremely hard. It's cool to watch them play. Yeah, I think he's doing a good job up there. They're bought in despite being a pretty awful team, and it's kind of cool to see how they're playing. But yeah, I mean, DA seems like he's ready, and go great. That happens. I think a lot of guys need to get a job and fail to kind of find out what they don't know. You go back, you look your wounds, you evaluate it, you figure out what you're going to do differently the next time, and you go back and do it. I think that he's learned those lessons. I think that he's proving that he can coach people up since 2017. I mean, this defense has been great. They've brought in players. Their players get better. They play well. They're disciplined. The guys underneath him are going out and getting jobs other places. I think that it's time for him to probably get that second chance. Like, there's some guys in the NFL that are head coaches right now that have gotten head coaching jobs with way thinner resumes, much less merit than he's displayed. I think it's a slam dunk. I'd be surprised if he's back if somebody doesn't come and get him after this year. I mean, they're going through this season, and they might make the playoffs in a season in which they reliably count on the offense to score points, and they're winning games. His defense is meeting that level every single week. Yeah, I think it's time.
I know he's probably not going to get this, but I mean, this is probably Sean Payton's best coaching job of his career, right?
It's up there. We keep saying that every year. Like, they lose their starting quarterback, they keep winning games. They're an extremely well coached. They overcome a lot, and I think right now, like, this is evidence. And you even asked him that question. I think that's evidence of why when people say they should tank and lose games and play for draft position, that you don't, because I think having that culture is important, and you win games because people are bought into it. You overcome the quarterback stuff because people are bought into the program you're selling, and it all plays together. If you pull the plug and say, hey, all this stuff we've preached for all these years no longer matters, it's over. And if you go and draft somebody, you bring them into this culture where there's a demand for everybody to be at their best, that every game matters, play like they do against the Bucs, despite the fact that you're without all these people, you probably aren't going anywhere in the playoffs. Finding ways to win games like that. You bring in a rookie into that culture, the odds of him maximizing his talent are much better than bringing him into one where you don't have that culture. And it doesn't mean that everybody's going to succeed and everybody's going to fail depending on the situation. But I think your odds of buying in, being forced into a culture, being forced to find, the best for yourself every single week is higher in a situation where there is that accountability and that demand. And I think the Saints have that, and you can't undermine that for a draft position. I know it's easy to say, well, yeah, just tell them to shut it off and it's just temporary, but it doesn't work like that. You got to be bought in, and I think that's why we keep saying Sean's, having these great coaching jobs every single year, and it matters. So for sure though, I think this is up there on his resume. They make the playoffs with this team with these injuries. It would be pretty incredible.
I mean, 10-7 is not out the realm of possibility, right? With the 3 games they have upcoming on the schedule.
No, I think it's definitely possible. Miami's winning a lot of games.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. Like, we all kind of turned our heads in November, and the coronavirus was in check, and Miami was a one and whatever team, and then like we look up and the pandemic's full fledged, and Miami's 7-7, and like I can't believe either one of those things is going on right now. But they're playing well. I mean, Jets couple games, Houston. Some of those losses, some of those wins aren't super impressive, but I think when you catch a team when they're rolling, it does something for them. They start to believe that they can win games, and they get in tough situations, and they've had this success, and now they can look back in other situations. It's like Sean Payton says, the confidence comes from demonstrated ability. Like, they're demonstrating they can win games now, so they're much scarier to catch now than they were earlier in the season. I think they still got a lot of holes. I don't think that they're the most talented team in the league. Their offensive line's been pretty iffy nearly every single week, and I think with the Saints D-line getting healthy, playing well, that creates an advantage. I think that they should be able to win it. They should be able to beat Carolina. They should be able to beat Atlanta. So yeah, I think 10-7 is still a real possibility. And you might have to get to 10-7 with the way the back end of the NFC is going right now. I don't think you want to leave anything to chance. It feels like San Francisco's starting to run away with 6. So it feels like there's just kind of that fight for 7, and there's still 3 or 4 teams within legitimate striking distance of it: Minnesota, Washington, Philadelphia, Saints. I think Atlanta's probably buried at this point at 6 and 8, and then Saints beat them. That takes care of it. But yeah, I mean, it's tight there. So I don't think you want to leave anything to chance. Kind of thought 9 was going to be the magic number. It still might be, but 10, I think that you're in better position. And unfortunately, the Saints are behind on a lot of those tiebreakers with other teams. So I think they do kind of got to win out.
Cam Jordan had 5 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, and was named NFC Defensive Player of the Week. what'd you make of his performance, and what type of impact does he have on the Saints defense? Obviously, when he's playing at such a high level, what's the wake of that? What's the residuals of that?
I think that what we've kind of seen out of him is he's at a point in his career where, I don't know if he's at the level that he used to. I don't know if he's still like the super elite standard, one of the top 5-10 guys in the league. But I think he is someone that's still really good. And I think when he's in a structure where other people are doing their jobs as well, I think that he succeeds, and it takes some of the attention off of him, and he gets better matchups. DA's schemed the hell out of this game, kind of got him in a lot of good positions, singled up on guards a couple times, and was doing some different creative things to get him going and make some plays, and he executed. And I just think, you look back last few weeks, everybody's injured. It's kind of just Cam out there and the Amazon drivers, and they're trying to get after the quarterback. And, Cam's the only real pass rusher out there, and it's tough, and he's not, necessarily making a ton of plays. So you bring back Davenport's healthy. Onyemata gets going. He finally looks like he's, shaking off the rust from that layoff. He had 7 pressures in this game. It was an incredible game by him. Everybody's doing their job, and now Cam's succeeding. So I think he's just at a position in his career where, he's kind of, he just needs to be around other good players. When he's around other good players, he can dominate. He can take care of his matchups. I think we saw that, and I think going forward, everybody stays healthy. I think that's a good position for him to be in. And I definitely stole that Amazon joke from Ryan Hinton. He does a Saints podcast too. I'd check it out. It's pretty funny. But yeah, it was just in my head. It was a perfect spot to borrow it. So yeah, shout out to Ryan.
At least you cited your sources.
Well, that's why he's the best.
We knew he was going to catch shit if he did.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of successes in podcasts, bro, your 100th over at NewOrleans.football, the last that you published, which for people in this space, especially for people like us over here on the Jordy Culotta show who have gone the independent route, you have kind of been a guiding light for us, somebody who made the jump earlier than we did, and to see you publish number 100 of the podcast and to see the success that the site is having doesn't surprise me, but congratulations to you on the accomplishment, and thank you as always for giving us the insight and the information here on the show, man.
Merry Christmas. I hope you guys all have a great week, and thanks for having me.
Also, the promo code is defense for 20% off over at NewOrleans.football.
Stop,
yes,
Tom.
Thank you.
Later, buddy. There is Nick Underhill checking in this morning from NewOrleans.football. As daily, we are brought to you by Cajun Ready Mix. Cajun Ready Mix Concrete. You can find them online at CajunRMC.com. CajunRMC.com. Those are our friends over at Cajun Ready Mix that you can get in touch with. Bradley Cairo and crew. They provide ready mix concrete products and services to meet all of your concrete needs. Doesn't matter if your project is residential, commercial, industrial, or municipal. Cajun Ready Mix is ready for you. Phone number is easy, 225-372-5060. 225-372-5060 or online, CajunRMC.com. They have 9 plants around the greater Baton Rouge area. How does that help you? That means when you order concrete that they'll have it on time and to the exact specification. Online at CajunRMC.com. We learn about the Wolf, Pete Jenkins, next here from Ross Dellenger over at SI as we close down the Jordy Culotta show here on this Wednesday morning.
Were you a phone number guy? Like when you were a kid, could you remember them?
Yeah, I still know my first phone number ever. 291-034-0343.
Like cell phone?
Home phone.
Home phone. I remember
phone.
445-6169. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
My home phone never changed. So still.
Yeah,
same
me
phone
either.
launcher.
So you still have a home phone?
No, my mom.
But she still has
I
the
think
same
she
one?
still has it.
So
She may have just.
445-6169.
I've had this same phone. My cell phone number's been the same since.
Yeah, my cell's been the same since I was in
Well,
high
that's
school.
what changed it because I was like, whenever I was a kid, like you had to remember like your parents' houses,
Oh, yeah.
you know, because
For
there
sure.
was no cell phone.
You had to go phone
Do
bank.
you
had
know
to go-
anybody's cell phone number now?
That's what I'm saying.
I
I don't
know.
think I
Do you?
lost that
I
skill.
know
Allie's?
Allie's. That's
You know
it.
Allie's?
That's it.
I catch hell for not knowing Rebecca's. I don't
Yeah.
know it. That's just in my phone.
I mean, if you put a gun to my, I think I could give you Kelly's, but I don't know it for sure.
If you only had one guess and had to do it now, you probably
No, I
couldn't
couldn't
do
do
it. Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
So there is a gun in your head.
I know it's 225-572 something.
It's something, but you're gonna have people out there just guessing
right.
one number at a time.
All right, Ross Dellenger next. We learned about the Wolf.
Lost art. Pete Jenkins knows phone numbers, that's for sure.
I just read like the first half of that.
True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU bluewater.com. Hebert's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73 or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, hebertsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Hebert's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. hebertsmarkets.com. All right, good stuff there from Nick Underhill talking New Orleans Saints football. We appreciate that from Nick Underhill, who, in my opinion, is the most talented writer covering an NFL franchise, to the most talented writer covering college football. That is Ross Dellenger. His latest piece over at SI.com is an incredible read. When Nick Saban calls, the Wolf answers is the title of the piece, and he is referring to Pete Jenkins. Before we get into the piece, Ross, Eric Rasco, the photographer that you had with you on this piece, deserves a ton of credit, because that shot of Saban at his desk on the phone on the title of this piece is, I mean, that is a framer, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a really good job with the kind of the daily covers, the cover stories, like pictures and stuff. They do a great job. Yeah, it was pretty cool to see when it popped in my inbox a couple days ago.
You know Nick Saban as well as any writer covering the sport. How hard is it to crack into his social circle? How hard is it to crack into to be one of his friends?
Well, I think it's difficult because he doesn't have a social circle. So there's not much to crack into. Even Pete Jenkins isn't what he'd call, a friend of Nick Saban. And I think Nick Saban has talked about it before. He doesn't really have any friends. His only friend is his wife, basically. He's kind of said that before. So but it's very difficult to get close to him, and to have I think a long relationship with him that Pete has over 20 years, to be kind of in his circle. But it is funny you asked that question, because Pete made clear to me, and I quote him in that story, "We ain't buddies." When he calls me, it's to go to work.
I mean, the funniest line of it, and I hate to give a spoiler, is the last one where he says, "I hope he don't call me to kill somebody, because I'd hate to go to jail for the rest of my life, because I'm a killer son of a bitch." I mean, it is just the undying loyalty from a guy like Jenkins, because, Ross, I mean, we've seen it here locally in Baton Rouge. I think if you look at Jenkins' resume, it's very evident. I was around when he was coaching and teaching one-on-one drills.
I think they even, Pete certainly even gets, emotional when talking about Nick and his relationship with Nick. I mean, I think I kind of illustrated that with the voicemail that Pete Jenkins still keeps on his phone, the 19-second voicemail from Nick Saban that he keeps on his phone, and he played it for me. So that tells you kind of, their relationship and how important it is, and how important it is for Pete to get Saban's approval, and I think he's had it for years. Saban's approval. I think Nick thinks that they are both kind of old school football guys who believe in proper technique and in the old school kind of 1-on-1 matchup at the line of scrimmage, and that's why I think probably that's why that Pete Jenkins at 80 years old is still as relevant as he is in the game today. He's a consultant, not just for Alabama, but Georgia, Michigan. He's worked at Florida State as a consultant, over 40 programs. Texas. Wow. So he's relevant today because nothing's changed in the box, as he says in football. Yes, there's a lot of other things that have evolved, but when it comes to technique and 1-on-1 offensive defensive line matchups, it really hasn't changed.
The season that Ed Ogeron hired him full time, I think O probably did that a little bit to poke at Nick Saban, right? I mean, because by all accounts, that really pissed Saban off that he didn't have access to Jenkins that season.
Yeah, it did. That was a 2016 and 2017 season. He came out of retirement again to join Ed's staff, and it took him away from working as a consultant with any other school, but that includes Alabama. And it's not to say that Pete and Nick maybe didn't talk every now and then, but he certainly didn't go over there and consult. There's some things I had to leave out of that story just because it was getting so long. But one of them was that 2016 football game between Alabama and LSU in Tiger Stadium. It ended up being a 10-0 Alabama win. And Pete was the defensive line coach about a month into his retirement or coming out of retirement. And of course, Alabama, Nick Saban was on the other sideline, and it was funny to hear Pete talk about that game. He was so amped up for that game to play Nick Saban and have his guys play well against Nick Saban, and they did. They held Alabama scoreless for 3 quarters until Jalen Hurts had that long touchdown run, and Alabama kicked the field goal late.
Yeah. I still think Duke Riley scooped that ball up. I still think that that would have been a scoop and score in that game. That was as electric as an atmosphere in a loss.
Mm-hmm. In a loss.
That LSU has seen. Do you know how he gets paid for these? You mentioned the 40 schools that he's consulting for. Do people keep him on retainer where you can just send the jet and pick him up, or does Saban say, hey, look, the direct deposit just hit, hop aboard?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think he's just direct deposited, but Alabama at least has sent a plane for him in the past. He's been working with guys elsewhere, and he's had to come in kind of an emergency situation to help the Tide prepare for a bowl game. So I think that was that he just gets paid like any other coach who probably gets like a one-time consultant fee, and from what I understand, it is not a small fee.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
I mean, it's got to be more than
Petey's doing all right.
Than dried out chicken fillets and Coke Zeros for sure.
Most bizarre gift basket.
Ross Dellenger joining us here, talking of his latest write-up over at SI.com, a must-read for college football fans, and dives into a lot of the relationship of Nick Saban and Pete Jenkins. Jenkins caught a lot of his teeth at LSU, spent some different times at LSU during the 80s, was here early with Nick Saban, been back with Ogeron, so very familiar with LSU, and I still think he has a home here in Baton Rouge. Ross, have you heard anything the latest on Brian Kelly's coordinator search? Do you have a status on kind of where that is? I think that some names have started to surface on maybe some targets like Matt Houston with the Kansas City Chiefs and Mike Denbrock with the Cincinnati Bearcats, but from your point of view, are you hearing anything where Kelly may be looking?
No, those are the only 2 that I really heard. I haven't. You guys probably know a lot more than me. I haven't really dove into that at all. Man, there's a lot going on. We got the playoffs coming up. We got all this NIL craziness that's happening, and I just finished the story I posted on SI about COVID and impacting college sports once again. So the 120 basketball games have been canceled, and some bowl teams are paused. Texas A&M being one of them, and it could be a real issue here down the stretch. This surge is of Omicron is not as severe at all, and people are getting like basically mild colds. Even older generation, I think, is getting just mild colds, but it's really contagious. And physicians are kind of asking themselves, how do we handle this? It's really kind of a complicated situation, and the NCAA is in dialogue with the CDC to try to see if things can, protocols can get relaxed.
Delly, what was your reaction to seeing the first real offseason of the transfer portal, where you've got nearly every SEC Western Division quarterback hitting the portal?
Yeah, kind of expected. When I think two things happened in the same year that really transformed college football in a lot of ways, and created virtually a free agency. And that is the one-time transfer, allowing an athlete to transfer and play immediately at least once, and NIL, where it's pretty obvious that there is a bidding war for athlete services from NIL deals going on, those in the transfer portal and those in high school. So it wasn't a surprise to feel the movement. I feel like things are probably going to level off at some point a little bit, but we're obviously we're never going to go back to what it was 5 or 10 years ago, where you had very little movement in the transfer the roadways. You're going to have a lot of it from here on, and we're all just going to have to get used to it being a little bit like the NFL, where you turn on the TV from one year to the next, and there's a new quarterback playing for this other team, and he used to play for the other team, and you're very confused.
What is your playoff assignment? Where will you be for New Year's Eve?
I'll be at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. So
Nice.
I get Cincinnati and Alabama, and should be an interesting game. I don't think anybody's really given the Bearcats much of a chance, but we'll see.
Delly, have a great Christmas. We will talk to you soon. Thank you, man. Great work on the piece on Jenkins.
All right, guys. See y'all.
All right, man.
See ya.
Take
There
a
is
day off
Ross
for that
Dellenger.
thing.
He can't do that right now.
I was checking. So Pete
Uh-huh.
was at LSU from 80 to 90, 10 years.
Wow.
He coached my dad.
Wow.
My dad was a
I didn't know
linebacker,
I didn't know he
and
was
then
here the entire decade.
I
Coach, think
remember
about
that.
the defensive linemen that came out of that program
know.
during that
I
time.
know.
Henry Thomas is the guy that we talk about. Michael Brooks.
Was it 83? They went to the
82?
Orange Bowl. 82 or
82.
83, right? 82.
82. I think it was
Orange Bowl.
played
I
in
got that
83.
ring.
Did you really?
Well, for my dad,
Wow.
he has the ring.
Wow.
I have it in the safe
Who
somewhere.
did they play Florida? They played Florida State to get to the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, I don't
Did they play
know.
Nebraska?
I think maybe it was Nebraska.
Played Nebraska.
But Pete knows him, remembers him. My
Oh,
dad wasn't even
sure.
a starter, but he wasn't even a starter. He was a linebacker that moved in. They moved him kind of like a hybrid. Pete remembers him when he was training. He came talk to me and told me how much he liked my dad.
Wow.
Like, wow, that's pretty cool.
That is cool,
You know?
man. That
Shows
is cool.
kind of character that he has.
How does this get away? Like, you could see what Nick Saban's doing to Alabama. He's basically making it LSU light. He's just grabbing everybody from Baton Rouge or all the talent from Baton Rouge and just bringing it over there. Like, it seems like seems like he never really wanted to leave Baton Rouge. He knew that everything that he wanted was here, and he just had to go to Alabama and go grab it. Because Pete Jenkins is based out of Baton Rouge.
Well, Saban still has a lot of his best friends. I know we talk about he didn't have friends, but Lenny Lemoyne that runs Lemoyne Construction is Saban's. They're thieves, bro. They're thick as thieves.
guy.
What a circle.
It is. He's usually at Alabama games.
Saw Miss Christine this weekend.
Lemoyne, Lenny is. Great guy.
Lenny's wife, yeah.
Great dude.
Grew up with him.
I
Lafayette.
grew up
Lafayette,
with-
baby.
Yeah, I grew up with Seth Lemoyne.
Okay,
here in town.
Yeah.
But they are still tight with Saban. It's pretty easy to find out that he was calling Skip Bertman in 2005 when things were going downhill in Miami, saying, "I want my job back. I want to come back. I want to come back."
We want you back too, but I can't.
What a shift in the timeline.
I think Skip's ego, he had finally gotten the leverage, in the relationship where Saban had been here the previous 5 years, and he kind of started to steal a little bit of the shine off of Skip, who was coming off that fifth natty and now moving up to the AD's box where he was changing ticket prices and putting in tradition funds that Saban was making him do. You know what I mean? And
He's doing my job.
And Skip was kind of getting the bad PR on it.
A little dust on the Intimidator. Got to wipe that thing off.
Yeah, right. He wasn't used to that. So I think when Saban was calling, it was kind of a grand moment for Skip to kind of sit back in the chair and say, you know what, Nick, we would love to, but, we got this goofball here running the thing into the graveyard.
Wow.
Almost beat Texas, though.
But within those circles, Saban has said, when LSU is right, best job in the country.
No doubt.
I mean,
the talent.
Just the talent, the resources, the fan base. Now, I would like to get his point of view in an NIL world where that would stack up. But, if
Alabama can do the NIL stuff, LSU can do
I think he just scares those top boosters into paying it. You know what I mean? They're so
enamored with them.
Which I believe that LSU would be too.
Yeah.
The LSU boosters would be the same.
If Nick Saban, look at the Wolf. If Nick Saban calls, you answer.
Absolutely.
What cachet he has built? Damn it, dude! It just could have been LSU.
Yeah.
Just the timeline. I know it's something that people talk about all the time with the
I
Drew
think the
Brees to Miami.
I think the political structure of the state would have gotten them, because Bobby Jindal cut so much of higher ed and went after higher education so much that the football program really became one of the top resources in the state for the university. If you remember, for, I believe, 6 or 7 straight years, LSU football would cut a check to the university for like $7 to $10 million, where it was almost like a bailout. I mean, it was pretty much like a bailout. And
every other team in the country was doing it the other way.
I don't think Saban would have played that stuff. You know what I mean? I don't think
I need that money.
Well, I'm not giving up my money because you can't run your university or your state. You know what I mean? We're making money, and we're going to use that to better the football program. And we're not, we'll bail you out once.
How many people go to graduation and how many people go to football games?
Exactly. And he would have said that out loud in public, and everybody would have been like,
Huey Long got
yes.
it. Huey Long had it right.
Huey P.
Yeah, he had it right. He figured it out.
This is the lifeblood of Louisiana.
It's a little sketchy, too. It's okay.
It's all right. It's okay to operate in the gray area.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's see what old Jordan
Okay, we got
presents. He's urging us to open this thing on the air. If this is something goofy, buddy.
What if it jumps out at you or something?
What is goofy?
Man, I don't know.
Peck's a wild card now.
Yeah, he's a wild card, so I don't know. Okay. 2.5 pounds.
Oh, well, let's take this off air.
You got the weight?
No way to pack that.
We're opening.
Oh, he's like the kid who just breaks it up.
I don't know.
There's no making the tape.
No rhyme or
We're ripping
reason,
the boxes.
yeah.
We're no reusing the box.
No note.
Okay.
Slide that thing out.
Okay.
Wow.
We're gonna use a reckless gift opener.
Yep.
Peckerhead. What a gift, bro.
That's sick.
What a gift.
Turn around. Oh, no
What
way.
a gift.
That's sick.
This is incredible. Jordan, I didn't know you had it in your heart, buddy.
You see this? Wow, that's sick.
It is great. Look at that gift, man.
Wow.
Got the whole crew. Look at you lounged up in the corner, dude.
I mean,
all
that's
relief
kinda
matted
the
up.
move. I am. Yeah. As long as I get here
Matuk
on
with
time.
the 8 jersey on.
me
Jordan,
see.
this is fantastic, dude. Thank you very much, man.
That's
a hard
awesome.
See, that's a gift.
That is a gift.
That's one that you want to open. Like
This is a great gift.
Yes, everybody looks at you. Look at it.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow, who knew it? Jordan Peck, good
I
gift
didn't even
giver.
see me up there in the top.
Everybody's in there, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Look at Jordan walking in the door.
That's perfect.
That's
Isn't that
sick.
Did he do this? Do we know who
I
did it?
don't know. I don't
he
know
paint?
if he did that.
That's
Damn.
that's an all timer.
It
That's
is
really freaking cool.
It is.
Damn, that's sick.
Golly,
That's it.
man. I thought he was always an asshole.
He's just over here laid on the floor.
Damn.
He was painting.
Great stuff. Our guy,
Great
Jordan
stuff.
Peck, bro.
Flip that thing around. Put it on the couch right next to you if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
We got to find a
I mind.
good spot for that in the new DL.
With that?
Oh, this is that's a
Sorry,
that's
sorry, General. You're
yeah.
out. You're out for
Easy. Game
You're out-
day.
you're out
Game
for
day.
now.
Game
You're
day.
out for now.
Game day.
You're out for now. It's okay.
What a gift.
What a
What
gift.
a great gift.
All right, everybody, have a great Wednesday. We appreciate you joining us here. Remember, the boot up quarter zips are available over at Red Stick Sports. Tell them you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Get over and see Cody Edwards, Brian Redmond, and the crew. Tell them that you saw it here this morning and you want your boot up quarter zip, whether it be for Christmas or whether you want it for the Maravich Center tonight for the last
think so good.
non-SEC matchup tonight for LSU basketball. Lipscomb in the Maravich Center, 7 o'clock tip-off, and then LSU will be on the road next week versus Auburn to open up SEC play. Great gift from Jordan Peck. Should set the pace for the day. Enjoy your Wednesday, and we'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Talk about your gift wrapping tomorrow, or gift unwrapping.